Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanasari Yamuna Tira Vanasari Yamuna Tira Vanasari Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Radha Madhava Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanasari Yamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Radha Kunj Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Gaur Pimanande. Jai Mishipad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagachaja Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shirabai Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Kandiviti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtana Ki Nikramtara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Tiny Type Old Pimarande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanditam Shyam Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Siva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Sarabhyai Namaha, Om Sarabhyai Namaha, Om Sarabhyai Namaha, Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pagam Langayate Girim Yat Kripat Maham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat Kripat Maham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to our morning Bhagavatam class. ইংরেজি বুঝতে পারে, ইংরেজি শিখতে হবে, শুনলে শিখতে পারবে অল্প কিছু। Anyway, there's no one here to translate Bengali for him anyways. Okay, we are continuing to read from Srimad Bhagavatam 118:30, text number 30. Very good handwriting. Like everything on each line. Yeah. Okay. Sa tu Brahma Rishar Amse Gatasum Uragam Rusha Vinirgachan Dhanush Kotya Nidhaya Puram Agataha Satu Brahma Rishera Amse Gatasum Uragam Nusha Vinirgachan Dhanus Kotya Nidhaya Puram Agataha Satu Brahma Rishera Amse Gatasum Uragam Rusha Vinirgachan Dhanus Kotya Nidhaya Puram Agataha Satu Brahma Rishera Amse Gatasum Uragam Rusha Vinirgachan Dhanus Kotya Nidhaya Puram Agataha
Satu Brahma Risharamse
Gatasum Uragam Rusha
Vinirgachan
Danuskotya
Nidayam Puram Agataha
Nidhaya Puram Agataha.
Satu Brahma Risheramse
Satu Brahma Risheramse
Gatasu Muragam Rusha
Gathasum Muragam Rusha
Vinirgachan Dhanushkotya
Vinirgascham Dhanuskutya
Nidhaya Puramagataha
Nidhaya Puramagataha
Satu Brahma Risharamse
Satu Brahma Risheramse
Gatasam Uragam Rusha
Gathasum Muragam Rusha
Vinirgachan Dhanuskutya
Vinirgascham Dhanuskutya
Nidya Puram Agata
Nidhaya Puramagataha
Satu Brahma Risharamse
Satu Brahma Risheramse
Gata Samurgam Risa
Gathasum Muragam Rusha
Vinirgaschan Dhanuskutya
Vinirgascham Dhanuskutya
Nidepuram Agatya
Nidhaya Puramagataha Saha.
Saha.
The king,
The king
too, however, Brahma Rishe
Brahma Rishi
of the Brahmana sage,
all the Brahmana sage
Amse, on the shoulder,
on the shoulder
Gata Asum,
Gatasun
lifeless,
lifeless
Uragam,
Uragam
snake,
snake
Rusha,
Rusha
in anger,
in anger
Vinirgachan,
Vinirgachan
while leaving,
while leaving
Dhanukotya,
Dhanushkotya
with the front of the bow,
with the front of the bow
Nidhaya,
Nidhaya
by placing it,
by placing it
Puram,
Puram
palace,
palace
Agataha,
Agata
returned.
return.
Translation and purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. While leaving, the king, being so insulted, picked up a lifeless snake with his bow and angrily placed it on the shoulder of the sage. Then he returned to his palace. Kindly repeat after me. While leaving, the king,
The king
being so insulted,
being so insulted
picked up a lifeless snake
picked up a lifeless snake
with his bow
with his bow
and angrily placed it
and angrily placed it
on the shoulder of the sage.
on the shoulder of the sage.
Then he returned to his palace.
Then he returned to his palace.
Purport. The king thus treated the sage tit for tat, although he was never accustomed to such silly actions. By the will of the Lord, the king, while going away, found a dead snake in front of him, and he thought that the sage, who had coldly received him, thus might be coldly rewarded by being offered a garland of a dead snake. In the ordinary course of dealing, this was not very unnatural. But in the case of Maharaj Parikshit's dealing with a Brahmana sage, this was certainly unprecedented. It so happened by the will of the Lord. Translation again. While leaving, the king, being so insulted, picked up a lifeless snake with his bow and angrily placed it on the shoulder of the sage. Then he returned to his palace. So one thing is that Parikshit Maharaj did not pick up the snake in his hands. He picked it up with his bow. Because when we take things in our hands, a dead object, we become contaminated. So although, it is a very unusual kind of situation, Prabhupada does mention normally in what we call ordinary, in the ordinary course of dealings, means ordinary people Ordinary people means those who are not Krishna conscious. They will act in this way. So that's why this is considered irregular or unusual, because both uh, personalities involved here are very exalted personalities. The sage who is meditating in his hermit, and of course Parikshit Maharaj uh, being such an exalted personality. So it was, as Prabhupada mentions, unprecedented. Um, I don't think there's too much more to comment on this, unless someone has uh, some further insight or whatever.
In that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in his purport on this verse.
Who?
Vishwanath Chakravarti
Vishwanath,
Thakur.
okay.
He has given a purport on this.
You
verse.
checked it before this class? You checked it before the
Yeah.
class? Okay.
So he said that the king put the snake as a garland, and angry he's saying, okay, this is what you have welcomed me, so I am welcoming you, and he left.
Yes.
Snake is like a garland, so angrily showed.
So you want to give something positive.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Yes. But generally, we don't offer garlands in angry. Rather, we offer a garland generally out of respect and in a happy mood. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it was. Generally, there are, well, we have a number of Vaishnava acharyas, and Prabhupada would be a comment, would actually be reading some of the more prominent um, commentaries. I think Prabhupada had a book. There's a book, I think, in Sanskrit of the 7 or 8 major Vaishnava acharyas who have written commentaries on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right. Yeah. Okay. We can go to the next verse unless someone has any comment on this. Text number 21. I'm sorry, 31. Esha kim nibita shesha karano meditakshanaha
Karano nivitekshanah
mrisha samadir ahoshvit
Visha Samadhir Ahoshvit
kim nusyat kshatrabandhubihi.
Kimnukshatrabandhuvihi.
Translation and purport. Upon returning, he began to contemplate and argue within himself whether the sage had actually been in meditation with senses concentrated and eyes closed, or whether he had just been feigning trance just to avoid receiving a lower kshatriya. Why it is mentioned lower kshatriya? Parikshit Maharaj is not a low kshatriya, because actually in the social arrangement, a kshatriya is meant to take a lower position. Not that he's necessarily lower, but he's meant to be taking a lower position to a brahmana, because he considers brahmana as his guide, as his spiritual master. Okay, let's see what Prabhupada is giving here in the purport. The king, being a devotee of the Lord, did not approve of his own action, and thus he began to wonder whether the sage was really in a trance or was just pretending in order to avoid receiving the king, who was a Kshatriya and therefore lower in rank. Yeah. Repentance comes in the mind of a good soul as soon as he commits something wrong. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Jiva Goswami do not believe that the king's action was due to his past misdeeds. That's interesting. The arrangement was so made by the Lord just to call the king back home, back to Godhead. So here's a difference that is to be noted. Most people who act or who do something, especially something that may be not correct, it is connected with because of the modes of material nature, because of karma. But here, both Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Jiva Goswami believe that it was not due to it was not due to the modes of material nature, but it was a higher arrangement. For a particular purpose, and of course the purpose was to call back Maharaj Parikshit back home, back to Godhead. Yeah. And we continue here. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the plan was made by the will of the Lord, and by the will of the Lord, the situation of frustration was created. History repeats. Okay. I have to tell them they can come around. I mean, they can come on the side. Getting more complicated to get in here. So we're just in the beginning of the purport. You're not missing too much. Beginning of the purport. Actually, we read the purport to text 30, and it was a short purport. We're now in purport 30. Yeah,
31.
Yeah, right, 31. So second paragraph here. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the plan was made by the will of the Lord. The plan to put a dead snake as a garland on the neck of Parikshit Maharaj. And by the will of the Lord, the situation of frustration was created. The plan was that for his so-called misdeed, the king could be cursed by an inexperienced Brahmana boy, infected by the influence of Kali. And thus the king would leave his hearth and home for good. His connections with Srila Shukadeva Goswami would enable the presentation of the great Srimad Bhagavatam, which is considered to be the book incarnation of the Lord. This book incarnation of the Lord gives much fascinating information of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, like his Rasalila with the spiritual cowherd damsels of Brajabhumi. The specific pastime of the Lord has a special significance because anyone who properly learns about this particular pastime of the Lord will certainly be dissuaded from mundane sex desire and be placed on the path of sublime devotional service to the Lord. So Prabhupada is taking us from the pastime of the hermit in the hermit um, to the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, Rasa Lila, and he's just elaborating here a little bit. The pure devotee's mundane frustration is meant to elevate the devotee to a higher transcendental position. Yes. By placing Arjuna and the Pandavas in frustration due to the intrigue of their cousin brothers, the prelude of the Battle of Kurukshetra was created by the Lord. This was to incarnate, okay, this was to incarnate the sound representative, yes, the sound representative of the Lord, Bhagavad Gita. So by placing King Parikshit in an awkward situation, the incarnation of Srimad Bhagavatam was created by the will of the Lord. Being distressed by hunger and thirst was only a show, because the king endured much, even in the womb of his mother. He was never disturbed by the glaring heat of the Brahmastra released by Ashvatthama. The king's distressed condition was certainly unprecedented. The devotees like Maharaj Parikshit are powerful enough to forbear such distresses by the will of the Lord, and they are never disturbed. The situation in this case was therefore all planned by the Lord. Translation again. I'll read both translations of the verses we read this morning, beginning with text 30. While leaving, the king, being so insulted, picked up a lifeless snake with his bow and angrily placed it on the shoulder of the sage. Then he returned to his palace. And translation to text 31. Upon returning, he began to contemplate and argue within himself whether the sage had actually been in meditation with senses concentrated and eyes closed, or whether he had just been feigning trance just to avoid receiving a lower kshatriya. And lower kshatriya, Prabhupada comments actually in the purport, means lower in rank, not necessarily a fallen kshatriya, especially in the case of Parikshit Maharaj. So one of the, as they say, takeaways, or one of the points mentioned in the purport by Srila Prabhupada is that especially in the case of great souls, elevated personalities like Parikshit Maharaj, pure devotees, and of course Prabhupada gives a very nice comparison that we've heard before with Arjuna, also very elevated, pure devotee of the Lord. But even such great personalities are put in all kinds of awkward and difficult situations. And in one lecture, Prabhupada goes on explaining how just see Krishna, he arranged, created so many difficult situations for his friend Arjuna and the whole family, all the Pandavas and Queen Kunti. Uh, the wife of the Pandavas was kidnapped. Um, their land was taken away. Uh, they were, um, yeah, uh, they were put into life-threatening conditions. But the end result of all that was that their love for Krishna increased. When somebody normally does something against us, our anger and frustration increases. But in the case of the Pandavas or any actual devotee of the Lord, as we have read just recently, he takes everything, including such difficult situations as the mercy of the Lord. And the other point also is that we are put in frustrating, even as devotees, situations to remind us that this is not our real place. Material world is not our real place, and therefore we are reminded. We need to be reminded. It is helpful that we are reminded that we are ultimately. It's just like Prabhupada also gives the example of the camels. What do the camels do in the desert? They walk. They walk. But they walk for a long, long time. I mean, they go from one oasis to another, and in between there's no water. And what does Prabhupada say? When they arrive, finally, after many days, if not many weeks, then as they come closer to the oasis, the dogs start barking at them, right? And it's described that they're not at all bothered with the barking of the dog because because they endure so much of austerity. So in other words, the barking of the dog for them is like nothing. They're not at all disturbed by that. So in a similar way, all of us are actually, we don't always remember or don't always realize, but we are on on this journey, I guess you could call it. Yeah, we are on this very not at all easy journey of winding up our business in the material world, and it's like the most difficult, we could say, task. It's like we take on so many different responsibilities or jobs and whatnot in this world. Uh, we're confronted with so many different situations, but the most difficult and most challenging of all activities is to finish up our business with this body, is to wind up our business in the material world and and become qualified to actually go back home, back to Godhead. So, so devotee learns when he keeps that vision in mind. That is our anything that may come is one learns uh, to deal with that situation, or learns to not be overly affected. Um, Different examples are given in the Shastra. And of course, Prabhupada uses the word, I think, incarnation here, the sound incarnation. The Lord incarnates, actually, and that's most important. The Lord directly incarnates in the sound vibration, both of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore we are reminded of the importance of continuously hearing such sound vibration, not only during Bhagavatam class, but in between Bhagavatam classes, which is a longer period of time, where, especially in our dealings, in our exchanges with Vaishnavas, we are meant to to continue, we could say, similar sound vibration, means subject matters that are connected with our primary goal and purpose of life. And that means that we will remain more secure or more safe in the material world. As a matter of fact, that's one of the statements made by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. What is the safest place to be? Where's the safest place to be in the material world?
In the bag of a Vaishnava.
In the back?
Of a Vaishnava. In the
Bag.
bag of a Vaishnava.
In the bag.
Yeah, because she's praying that maybe I become an insect in a bag of Vaishnava.
Bag?
Bag. Sack.
A sack. Yes, well, that's pretty close. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Right. Yes, to be in the association of devotees. Specifically, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions wherever there is the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name. That's why one of the injunctions in the Nectar Devotion is that if we're going somewhere and if we hear the chanting of the holy name, we should join the Sankirtan. Yeah, because that is the safest place to be. Why? Because we are entering and therefore becoming protected by the Daivi Prakriti, by the spiritual energy, transcendental sound vibration. And of course, yes, the association of devotees who are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. And that's why all of our activities and all of our exchanges are meant to be on that level. And that's why the association of devotees is important to help us keep on the track, on the proper track of devotional service, so that we can constantly have in the forefront, what is our primary goal and objective. And therefore, all of us, in different ways, we are meant to be endeavoring to increase our we could say our consciousness in terms of, okay, where do I fit, or what can I do within this larger realm. Larger realm means, we're all living in some particular place. We all have different kinds of responsibilities, but we are, most important for all of us, we are part of Krishna's bigger plan. In other words, we're part of Krishna's mission. And most people actually in the world don't have a mission, or don't really understand that there is actually a mission in life. And and that mission, for those who are fortunate to be connected with the Sankirtan mission or the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya is not only to strive individually for self, we call self-realization, for advancement as an individual, but also we are part of this larger mission. That's why Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke about the Gaudiya mission. Yeah, Krishna appears in the world actually for a purpose. Mission means purpose. Most people don't have actual purpose, or whatever purpose they may have is generally not the real purpose, or not a purpose that is actually fulfilling or satisfying. So yes, here the awkward situation in which Parikshit Maharaj finds himself is this is touched upon briefly here in the purport, meant to serve as an impetus, as an impetus to reconnect or to remember. And this is what also a nice verse in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam by Narada Muni, when he is asked by Yudhishthira Maharaj about dharma, the very beginning, chapter 11 actually. And then this very nice verse where this point is being mentioned, Smritam cha tadvidam rajan, Smritam cha tadvidam rajan, yena satma prasidati, dharma mulam hi bhagavan, sarva veda mayo harihi, Smritam cha tadvidam rajan, yena satma prasidati. He begins to explain, because this is what Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to hear. Yudhishthira Maharaj, who although a very exalted Vaishnava, when meeting with Narada Muni, took a very humble position as a fallen householder and requested Narada Muni to further, to discuss about dharma, and specifically about varnashrama dharma, actually. And so that's one of the first, actually the very first statement. What is the first statement? Those who might have not too long ago come across this section, very important section of the Bhagavatam. What was the very first statement made by, which is quite significant, made by Narada Muni to Yudhishthira Maharaj? Here is Yudhishthira Maharaj as a humble grihastha asking him, please instruct me, I'm in family life, and you are such an exalted personality. So Narada Muni, who is a traveling mendicant, brahmachari, so the very first statement he makes is, I will now speak to you of what I heard from Narayan. I'm a brahmachari and I'm going to talk to you about householder life. So he immediately clarifying this very important point, because sometimes people will say, who are you? Sannyasi, what do you know about family life? Well, we may not, normally in society, most sannyasis have gone through the Grihastha ashram. But in the case of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he just totally bypassed Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha ashram. And so one may question, biggest problem in life is connected with family life. If you've never gone through family life, what are you going to tell me? What qualification do you have? It's a very valid question, actually. But Narada Muni has a valid answer. I heard from the one who knows the most about family life. Krishna, who has 16,108 wives, he's most expert, most experienced about family life. So then after making that statement, Narada Muni gives that one I just quoted about Smritam Cha. Smriti means to remember. So he explains, Prabhupada elaborates a little bit in that purport, how if one is a devotee of the Lord, as we are all meant to be or to become, then our foremost responsibility every day is to remember. What is our foremost responsibility? Is to remember that the principles of Dharma that we're meant to uphold, the principles of Dharma, we're meant to understand what Dharma actually means, and we're meant to mold our life, and we are meant to assist in as many ways as possible our previous and present acharyas in fulfilling the mission of the Lord. And the more we are able to do this, the more we are at least able to endeavor to do this. We may not be always successful in always remembering, but we should be making that effort. Then the end result is that yena smritam satabidam rajan yena chatma prasiditi. Then the end result of all of our endeavors and activities, both material, emotional, social, as well as spiritual, will be successful. Yeah. Hey, you guys have no. What? Hey, you don't understand English? Ah. They didn't see the sign. We don't have one. No dogs allowed. What's going on there? Oh, I know. Yeah, the fencing is going on, and they come a little earlier. They come earlier than the other guys, and they're making our fencing because we are in the process, for those who may not know, of dividing what is called
Separation.
Huh?
Divine separation.
Divine separation.
from this kind of.
No. Well, that's another. We're separating VCF campus. We are part of the VCF campus here, which is actually the college campus. This is a college campus, and we're separating this campus from what will be the Gurukul campus, which is at this point smaller, but it's a different different world, we could say, different rasa. And so we're going to have a gate there. I'm going to have a gate there later on. Anyways, coming back to our purport. Any comments or questions? Okay, his hand came up first, but he's being very kind. Anyway, no
I
fight.
have a few points.
Yes.
So first of all, we are, practitioner Vaishnavas,
Yes.
but also we are, at least me, first time I've met with this vast Indian culture, and it's very fascinating. So first, when I met with India, I met with the the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra.
Okay. When you came to India.
Handwritten translation, and I started to read that. That was my first attraction for India's vast literature.
Yes.
But later, when I very good fortune, I have someone introduced me the Bhagavad Gita. So I had attraction to the Bhagavad Gita, but still I was curious what kind of books I can find here in India, you know. And I like to read.
Right.
So if you give me a few books, I will just read.
Right.
That's my joy.
Right.
But it's very important here to see that the goal of reading is not just have a fun or have enjoyment, but as you mentioned, persons have to have mission,
Mm.
and we find the highest mission to become the servant of Shri Radha Krishna, which is Radha Krishna is not mentioned in most of the Indian Puranas or Vedic scriptures. They are mentioned very little, but in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will find a lot of explanation about the pastimes of Vraja. So, if you want to really get this mission of attaining Vraja, becoming one of the Vrajavasis, then we have to select which book we read daily and which we read steady.
Yes.
Maybe we become brahmanas and then we can study Shruti Smriti, but according to the or acharyas, better just to read this kind of scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam again and again. This kind of Gaudiya Vaishnava scriptures, I mean, which Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas introduce us, and not go to other places, not go to other books. Maybe if you need, okay, you have to study for your service, but for your main mission, we have to find this taste in Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, we may lose.
Yes.
And here we see so Krishna also have difficulties to build up this kind of incarnation. Incarnation should have a replacing the receiving situation. When someone very great person comes, an ordinary person will not understand that greatness. So for Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to choose such a person like Parikshit Maharaj who will appreciate the best way. Otherwise, the speaker would not explain everything because the receiver is not ready for listening.
Mm.
So Krishna have difficulties to choose to whom he will speak, and that Prabhupada explains here that the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was waiting so long just to find a perfect person, Arjuna, in that perfect situation, and that's a dramatic situation. Then Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, not just in the corner of somewhere or some Gurukul or some school of in Kashi or somewhere. No,
Mm.
Krishna choosing the situation and choosing the person. So for us, it's very important to put ourselves in that situation, which is the consciousness of Arjun, consciousness of Parikshit Maharaj, to get the same mercy from Krishna, to put the Srimad Bhagavatam into our heart. So we have to prepare our heart in such a way that Krishna says, oh, that heart is pure enough, this heart is receiving me as a perfect guest, so they will receive me properly, so I will come as an incarnation of Srimad Bhagavatam, as an incarnation of Bhagavad Gita. It's not enough just reading these books. We have to prepare our heart, and then the book will appear as transcendental incarnation in our heart.
Yes.
So that's I see here. Prabhupada want to explain this in his purport.
Mm. Yes. Yes.
That's I see.
Yeah. Yes. Pariksit Maharaj knew he would be leaving his body in 7 days. So if we are conscious, more conscious of that we could leave our body even in less than 7 days.
It's so interesting. It's so dramatic, you know. They are not speaking the principle like you should do, you should do, you should receive the king in the different way, like a minister, like a normal police officer. You should receive everyone very properly, but differently. So here we see the details are very important. This situation is reminding us we have to prepare to see the differences between different persons and then differences between incarnations also.
Yeah.
So Parikshit Maharaj is not making big mistake, but the mistake is not a mistake, but it's not preparation properly by the will of the Lord to receive the highest uh, incarnation of the Lord, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes.
So here, you know, the listener should be prepared. That's why we are coming here, and not the Bhagavatam is started as the first program in the morning. We start to chant for Gurudev's prayer, for Gurudev's mercy. We start to stand to the protection from Nishingadevi. We start to chant to Tulasi Devi to get this consciousness inspiring us to listen to Bhagavatam. No other Puranas are giving this such a value, so we have to appreciate Bhagavad Purana. No, Krishna is not appearing in the same way in other Puranas, only in the Bhagavatam.
Yes. Yes. Other? Okay. No. I thought you had your hand up.
Yeah. Maharaj, I was curious to know when you say Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the safest place is holy name.
Mm.
Is it in a bhajan or is it in his writing?
Where did I hear this? I think it's one of the. I think it's one of the. I believe it's one of the bhajan. He wrote so many songs.
In one of the songs, he says it's the highest thing. Naam bina kichu nahi choda bhuvana maje.
Yeah, that is there.
But then there is safest also. That is
Yeah. That I remember that specifically because, and that what you're mentioning is also correct. I can try to look it up, but it had caught my attention when I heard it because then I thought, okay, well, yeah, it makes sense as well because when we are within that environment where the holy name is being vibrated, then it's like we are in the spiritual world. So the safest place. I'll try to find that reference. Yeah. Yes.
So that example, Srila Prabhupada quotes maybe one of his purport of camels coming to Oasis
Yeah.
and not getting affected. I was not familiar with it. Thanks for sharing. It did remind me of another analogy in Bhagavatam towards the end of the pastimes of Jarbharat, Bharat Maharaj.
Yes.
And when this pastimes are concluded, there is a beautiful verse in Bhagavatam which compares. He says that the path of Bharat Maharaj is that of Garuda. Unlike other ordinary kings, whose path is just like a housefly, right? So,
Whose path is like a
fly, housefly.
housefly.
Fly just goes like few inches,
Okay.
or maybe a feet. Garuda can traverse the entire universe.
Mm.
Bharat Maharaj took that adverse path over 3 lifetimes to achieve the destination and not give up.
Right.
That was a very beautiful analogy.
Right.
Comparing Bharat Maharaj with other kings. Extremities of fly versus Garuda.
Yeah. Bhagavatam is, Prabhupada would often quote so many different analogies, or examples that are.
Yeah, but I heard that Kamas are using, they are Prabhupada using it with Kama example like in different way. So here Kamas are glorified for that quality that they are just going on and barking of the dogs doesn't stop them. But in other way, when you mentioned before, that we have to leave this material world, and the camels using that, they are chewing their own blood, and they are tasting it, and this thing is so sweet. So also camels are the example of someone who is tasting their own suffering, creating sex desire, and then following sex desire is like tasting your own blood.
Yes.
So camels are also mentioned in different ways.
Yeah.
Very expert, these acharyas, how
Right,
to
right,
use
Yeah.
natural elements.
Who was that king who had difficulty teaching his children? I think about philosophy and whatnot. He had hired somebody who was
This is
animal stories.
Panchatantra stories, right? In that beginning, the prelude is what was the name of the king?
He started telling animal stories. Animal,
He sent his princess to a brahmana,
right?
who is the author of Panchatantra, and then through those Vishnu something, right?
That's the author.
Yeah, that's the author. Yeah.
So there's a book on that, is it?
Yeah, Panchatantra. It's very
That's very famous book.
One of Prabhupada's disciples wrote it in a very elaborate fashion, because while growing up, when I wrote those stories, it just goes to the crux. Here's a story here, here's a story there. But he is present with the whole, the text as it is. Like, what was the background? Why did the
Okay.
princes were sent? And then the conversation between Pratik Pawan Prabhu, I think.
I think Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also. There's some I was reading somewhere. He also in some.
Udekhyana Upadesh.
Yeah.
Upadesh.
Right. Means there's so much to learn from nature, from like that, Yes. Okay. Yes.
What did Narad Muni then said to Yudhishthira?
You want to attend another Bhagavatam class? Well, he was just beginning. Yeah, he told him two things, right? One is that whatever I'm going to tell you, I heard from Narayan, my Lord Narayan, because I'm speaking about things that, householders. And then the second thing he told him was that those who are devotees, I think I overpopulation of dogs this morning. Then those who are serious devotees of the Lord, they will always be keeping in the forefront. They always try to remember what is their primary responsibility. And then he goes on to discuss so many different things about Varna and Ashrama. He gives all the different, that first chapter, which is chapter 11, deals actually with what is called the perfect society, the four social divisions. So he speaks about the different qualities and duties of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. And then very interestingly enough, we won't get into, but he, after describing, and I think this is quite significant, after describing the four Varnas, then he gives in 5 verses the different qualities and responsibilities of women.
And then in one verse, he describes the 4 gradations of chastity for women.
Yes, right. Yeah.
You mentioned woman, and then the 9th canto,
Yes.
there is 2 women who are fighting. One is a Kshatriya woman, one is a Brahmana woman.
Devyani and Dhanishka.
It's very interesting how they deal with each other and their parents and their husband. It's very complicated. So they are Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, Kshatriyas and Brahmana, but they are also women. And this mixing is so special. And the 9th canto is explaining specially that helps us to get out from these influences, being a woman, being a husband, being a man, and being Kshatriya, or
Being a
being
Bra-
Brahmana, because otherwise we cannot enter into the 10th canto.
Right.
So it's very important when we are practically living in this world to act according to our material nature and follow, but in the consciousness, also important to keep distance from
Yeah. Externally to act according to our material
that effect.
nature, but knowing that we are meant to act above. I mean, because we are not this body, correct? Yeah. Yes, Bhagavatam is full of interesting subject matters. And part of that is chanting the holy name, which we can only do after we close the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Sri Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande.